quick tutorial on how to import your photos in Lightroom Classic. The tutorial set that I gave you before does not actually go over this, and this is sort of like step one, so we have to figure out how to do this. So here we have Lightroom Classic open on your desktop, okay? If you put your memory card into the back of the computer, your photos are going to pop up on here naturally, okay? So, but if that's not the source of where your photos are, you have to figure out where to find them. So there's several steps in importing photos from your memory card or anywhere else in your hard drive. So you've got Lightroom Classic open, and you go to, you're going to make sure up here in the modules that you're clicked on Library. Because if you're clicked on Develop, you're not going to have an import option down here, and you're going to wonder, well, how do I do this? So you want to go back to Library, and down here you're going to click on Import. Okay? So it's going to say Select a Source. So on the left side here you have your sources. So the places from which you can find your photos. So here we have our desktop, and I'm going to import some photos from the desktop. So I'm going to click on the arrow, and then I'm going to go down to Renaissance Era Portraiture. So you would find on your hard drive, you would actually find your memory card document instead. Instead of this folder. But I'm going to use this as an example. So here I have a folder full of Renaissance photos and a random frog. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a few of these photos. You can import all of them if you want to, but I would take a moment and maybe be a little bit selective, especially if you don't have a gigantic folder full of images. If you want to be selective, you want to click up here on All Photos, and that clicks them all off. If you are scrolled up here already and you're like, well, where is this All Photos click Miss Greninger was talking about? You do have to be at the very top to see this. Okay, so I'm going to click it off, and I'm going to click just a few. So to select just a few quickly, you want to pick one and then hold the Command key down and pick a few more that you like, and we're going to go ahead and put these into a folder. Okay, so once we do this, we also have to make sure that we've clicked on the box, because if we don't do that, then we cannot import. So they're highlighted and they're also clicked. The next step is to go up to the top here and choose where it goes. So if you look up at the top here, there's several things that are important. Left side here, it's telling you where those photos are coming from. In the middle, it's telling you how it's going to copy them, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then on the right here, it's telling you where it's going to. So once we choose our photos in the middle, we want to look up here at the top. We do not want to copy the DNG, okay, because that just creates a duplicate, and that's just a lot of photos to manage that are not necessary. We don't want to move them, because then that moves them from your original folder. And so that kind of creates an issue too. So we also don't necessarily want to add them, and I'll go into that later. So you want to choose copy. That's the simplest option. And now we're over here and we're trying to decide where is it going. So I'm going to click on this, and here it gives me options for destinations. I can click on other destinations if I want to, and then that gives me a larger assortment of where I can put them. So I'm going to cancel that for a minute, and I'm just going to choose desktop. Down here, if you organize your photos in this section here, this is a really good way of staying organized. So I highly recommend that you learn how to do this, and do this every single time you import, because then you can go back and you can find things easily. So file handling, this is important. You want to create a collection for these photos. So you always want to click Don't Import Suspected Duplicates, because you don't want duplicates in your folders. And you want to click on Add to Collection. And this gives you an opportunity to see the collections that are typically on the left of your library, or create a new collection. So I'm going to create a new collection. I'm going to click on this plus sign, and then I'm going to title this new collection Renaissance Portraits 2, because I already have another folder. And then I'm going to just, don't worry about these two things, and create. So now I have that folder here, and so I know that's where it's going. So go ahead and close that. and then open up File Renaming. This is always a good idea to rename your files. So this is going to rename every single photo that's within this set, which is another good way to search up your images. Okay, so it's going custom text, that's fine. Right here under template, you can decide what the template of that rename is going to be. So you could rename it with a date and a file name. You could rename it in a sequence starting with the custom name. You can just say custom name. It's really totally up to you. So why not just choose custom name, okay? And then we're going to leave the extension as is, and then the custom text I'm going to leave as Renaissance Portrait, but you could put anything there. It's a good idea to rename your photos the same name as the folder collection that you're putting them in, so that it's very consistent. And then the extension is the file type. So these are PNGs, but your files will either be RAW files or JPEGs. All right, I'm going to contract that. And then what you want to click now is destination. So where is it going? Okay, so right now I'm just sending it to the desktop. And I want to click on Renaissance Era Portraiture. I could put it in there, or I could make a new folder. So I think I'll just put it in there, or I could just send it straight to the desktop. So I think I'll just click desktop. Right now it's being funky here. I'm going to go back up here and back down again. See, Greninger desktop. Okay, click on desktop. Okay, so that's where it's going to end up. So I'm going to contract that, and now that I have chosen where it's coming from, I'm saying how I'm copying it, I'm sending it to the desktop, I've renamed everything and put it in a folder. So now that I've done all those things, then I want to click import, and now we're going to see those files are importing. Here they go, and they're going to end up in a folder called Renaissance Portraiture, and then there's also going to be in a file on my desktop. Okay, all right, so that is a basic instructions on how to import your photos into Lightroom Classic, and now we know where they are. Thank you so much.